All right, let me say all that again because I realized my mic was not was muted. A classic rookie mistake. Anyway, welcome everybody. Good morning. Um, oh yeah, let me re-say what I said before. I think I got everything working properly with my settings here for live streaming, multi-streaming to different platforms. So whatever your fancy is, YouTube, Kick, Twitch, X, all of it's there. I am currently monitoring chats in YouTube, Twitch, and X. I realized in the past I was not checking a value for allowing people to chat. These are dark Metroids. Oh my gosh, I forgot about this. You know what? I just clicked down the button to try to run. There's no running in this game. You know what? Let's do this. Oh, gosh. There we go. That's what I needed. Get some light ammo. Oh. Let's scan these guys. What do we got here? Darkling possessed energy parasites. Symbiote makes them stronger and badder, vulnerable to continuous blastics like dislikes bright light. Were I to give a little criticism of the Prime series, there'd be a couple things. One, dare I criticize the lore, not the lore, the scanning mechanic. I think the scanning mechanic is great. I think it defines the series, and it is incredible. But I would have liked to see more work in with, like, scanning an enemy should almost be essential. Occasionally you get some hints as to how to defeat it, but that's like you don't not usually, it's not a usual thing that happens. Mostly scanning is just to kind of get that lore background and that information, which is fine, and there is an incentive to do that. But I would have liked to see it more related to the combat. Maybe Prime 4 will rectify that situation. But it's when it comes to game mechanics, you want them to really complement each other well, and the scanning, it's kind of like a nice bonus, but it does at times feel separate from combat. Most of the enemies are shoot them a lot and they die. at the very least they could have thrown, like, well, occasionally you do get, like, it's weak to this, but in a game like Metroid Prime 2, it's pretty obvious. It's like, hey, dark enemies are weak to dark, enemies in the light world are weak to light, and that's pretty much it. Now I get that redoing that would take a bit of time, and to make a game so complex that every enemy has its own, like, quirk to kill it, would be difficult, and I don't even know how they'd do it. So this is a severe a severe nitpick. Like, I'm not saying that the game is bad because of it doesn't incorporates scans more into its combat. I'm just saying, in general, your core game mechanic should affect all other game mechanics to some extent, and I do think more or less Prime does that. In one of my other videos, I'm one of the other actual videos where I recorded and did all the fun stuff like that, and I criticized Echoes of Wisdom. And again, if you've been following me for a while, you'll recall that I didn't really like Echoes of Wisdom. I mean, it was a fine game, and everyone should play it. It's got a lot of merit to it. There's a lot of creativity you can get with it. If you're a creative person and you like to do all that sort of stuff, then by all means play Echoes of Wisdom. If you really liked Tears of the Kingdom and the building aspect of Tears of the Kingdom, I think you'll like Echoes of Wisdom. It's a fine game, but there were some issues with it that I felt detracted from its overall mechanic. The debut mechanic was the using the echoes, and not just use them to get around, but also to fight. But I found very quickly that it was much more much more productive to fight with your sword mechanic, which was honestly, in my opinion, way more fun, way more efficient than just simply waiting around for your echoes to do the work for you. All right, more on that in a second. There's a high possibility that the game will crash when I go into this portal, but not to worry. I know what's wrong with it, and I can fix it pretty quick, so stay tuned if this happens here. It's not the end of the world. And the save station is just over there. I didn't really do much so far, so here we go. All right. We're back in the light world. I'm really sad that the stream that I had where I fought Dark Samus for the first time was it was bad. I had accidentally had double audio going the whole time, and just settings were not right. It was really unfortunate. That's okay. There will be other boss battles. But yes, back to the whole core game mechanics. Yeah, it kind of has to do with the priorities of your development. Everything should stem from your core game mechanic, and I would argue that when I say everything, I mean everything. How the game looks, how it sounds, any additional mechanics like scanning, for example. And in the case of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, the mechanic of there was combat, which should have been highly impacted by the echoes, but you had this alternative means of fighting that just kind of appeared, and it was way more traditional Zelda because you could just fight as Link, and it was just way too easy to kill everything, and way more fun to kill everything with your sword. I could have chose not to use it, but it was there, and the two mechanics clashed with one another. They didn't complement one another. But yeah, if you want to see the whole reasoning for that, this is a Metroid Prime 2 stream. I don't want to talk about Zelda the whole time. Go watch my video on it, and you'll see what I mean. Hopefully I explain myself clearly. If you have any retorts to that comment, go watch the video first before you go and complain online about how I can just, you know, choose not to use the echoes, because I do address that. All right, back to Metroid Prime 2. Okay, getting a little audio here. Audio issues here. This is the problem I was having with the other items. Emulators are extremely taxing on systems, and I don't know if, yeah, I don't think I have my frame rate in view for you guys, but my frame rate was dropping to about 30 there, which is not horrible, but I'd like to keep it up as much as possible because it's a sign that something is wrong. Okay, now that I have the dark and light beam, a lot is opened up in this game, and there are some other doors like your classic super missile doors and things like that, but now there's just so much open to me, and this is where I feel Metroid starts to really shine as a game series. I got my 3 keys, so I can go back to that key place and unlock it there, but I have to remember where that is. The map if I wander around too much, I will eventually get a hint, which again I addressed in an earlier video. But this is what people, I think, associate with Metroid when we say we don't want Metroid to be a linear game. Metroid Fusion was really well accepted, because it is a great game. Oh, I forgot about this. This is cool. Metroid Fusion was a really well accepted game, but one of the things people complained about was the fact that it was basically like the whole time Adam, your little computer, is saying go here, okay, now go here, okay, now go here, okay, now go here, and that was the whole game. And if you liked not wandering around, then that probably didn't bother you very much. But if you did, if you did like the idea that you could wander around and explore, you know, you had to kind of shut that out of your head of like, this is where you're supposed to go, so I'm not gonna go there. And you didn't have the option to turn that off. You had to kind of just tune it out and be like, okay, I know I'm supposed to go this way, but now I'm going to intentionally go back and explore this area. It's a fine line. I get it, but okay, good. I almost forgot how to get out of that. It's a fine line. I understand. Got my bird clock going. Yeah, it's a fine line between you could just choose not to go there, Jason. You could just choose to explore. But again, that's not the point. The point is the overall gaming experience and what players want in a game. And right now, I'm at a point where I've got 2 very key items, the dark beam and the light beam. They unlock a number of areas I need to go. And now, if I look at my map, there's a lot of areas I can go to. And I don't know which one is the right one to go to. Most of them will probably lead to a power-up, which is great. Some might be the way to go, and that's fine. Thank you, Indie Analog, for posting the stream. I like that. I appreciate that a lot. You're always very supportive of my stuff, and I really appreciate that. I hope I can do the same for you. Alright. Probably some lore here. So yeah, all this plays into just the idea of like what makes a Metroid game. And you know, notice how right now too, it's like a lot of the map is now open up to me. There are clearly defined areas, but it's not something that is, there's not like a central, well, if there is a central hub, it's not as obvious. I mean, I guess there kind of is with the temple, but it's not. It's not like a hub world mechanic that you get in so many older video games. N64 games is what I'm thinking of. You know, like Banjo Kazooie or things like that. Actually, you know what? Banjo Kazooie I feel could be a good example of this because their hub world was a true hub world, but it was a world in its own. Yes, I have the freedom to explore now. I think in many Metroid games that is a staple where you're not told where to go, you have to figure it out on your own. You know, and I realize I say that as I'm using the hint system, but honestly, that's more for streaming purposes. I don't want to waste people's time. You know, again, if you've been following my stuff for a while, you'll know that I try not to shy away from challenges. I didn't, you know, I really enjoy trying to beat things on the hardest stage. I wish Metroid Prime series were a bit more difficult, but the difficulty is not in the combat. The difficulty is in the rest of the game. You got to figure out where to go, and that's the difficulty. The bosses are more. The bosses are actually a nice break in. If you recall, in a previous stream, I mentioned how breaks in tension are important. Well, I feel like breaks in any kind of consistent thing you got going on in your game are important as well. To kind of break up the monotony of just wandering around and figuring out where to go. Frame rate's dropping a lot there. Like fighting enemies, having these battles like this is is the break from the exploration. The bosses are a break from the exploration. It's not difficult. You know you're going to get a power up at the end. It's a signal to the player, hey, you've gone the right way. You're doing the right stuff. Here's a fun action sequence for you. It's not going to be terribly difficult, and you'll get something out of it. You know, it's a break from the sometimes I was going to say monotony, but it's not really monotonous if you enjoy that sort of thing. But having a break from it does make you appreciate it more. Now that I fought the boss, I'm going to go back to exploring. Okay, I want to get to that room over here. That's not a dark room. I forget what kind of door that is. I know there's a portal there. I'm going to go back to this main arena over here and check out what's going on over here. Which means I need to get go to that door. Okay, good. Yeah, that frame rate drop was a little scary. I'm gonna have to figure that out. I don't. There are more. Hopefully, it's just the enemy, and other enemies won't cause as much of a drop in frame rate. Ugh, dropped. Oh well, guess it's just incentive for me to kill enemies quickly. What do I need to beat this here? Denesium. Probably a power bomb. You know, it's kind of like in a story where you have side plots, You want the side plot to have something to do with the main plot, but also interesting enough to be a plot in its own right. And the side plots, if they're paced properly, will provide a little bit of a break from the the main plot. We've all seen movies and read stories where all of a sudden the action cuts from one scene to another, and you're like, oh, I hate this storyline. Avoid that. And in your game, you want to avoid the I hate when the game decides to do this instead of this. Someone commented about how the yellow paint issue was not a big deal to them because in their games they don't like wandering about where to go. They want to know where to go. They want to skip the boring parts of the game, and they specifically use the boring parts of the game. And I would maintain that if there is a boring part of your game, you're doing something wrong as a developer. If someone can say, "Oh yeah, that the developer knew that part was boring, so they put in that uh, nice thing, quality of life thing to move us past that." I would maintain that that's bad. You don't want that. You don't want. We all hate escort missions, but for some reason they were thrown in a lot of games a while ago. Um, but you really do want to avoid. It feels like a no-brainer. Like, I feel weird saying this because of course you want to avoid boring parts of your game, but yet some players will readily admit that there are parts of games that are boring, and uh, it's good to just kind of get through it. Do I have to activate this? Okay. Frame rate's dropping. Yeah. I really hope I don't have to compromise the quality of Prime Hack. Like, decrease the resolution. I might have to get rid of the HD textures. It might be too much for the system to handle. I definitely don't want to decrease the resolution. I like the crisp resolution. Ooh, that was scary. Yeah, I like the crisp resolution. I just don't want to have to get rid of the night. I'll probably just get rid of the nice textures first. Okay. Oh, we're back here. But I don't want to go down there because I don't have the spider ball. That'll just take me back and I'll have to go all the way around again. Alright. It's alright. I'm just getting to know the map. Kill that thing. Can I go up there? No, not yet. Okay. It's alright. Plenty of options, plenty of ways to go. Figure it out. Probably going to be a fight or something when I go into that area. Oh, I gotta come back here in the Dark World, that's why, because there's those 3 keys that just annihilated that bee. This is where I fought the bomb thingy. I don't want to be here right now. I'm gonna keep going around. Alright, let's see. Oof. Okay, I'm now recalling my second critique of the Prime series, and again, it has to do with the combat. I forgot to mention, I said there were two critiques, but the second critique is that enemies tend to be bullet sponges. Prime 3, to its credit, tried to rectify this a bit by having specific points on the enemy that you had to really target because of the motion controls, which were really cool. Okay, yeah, I know what this is, yeah. But yeah, they really tried to rectify it with the motion controls, and I think they succeeded for the most part. You know, you didn't just have to shoot the enemy as many times as you possibly could while not getting hit by them. You had to shoot specific points, and that, I think, to its credit, kind of deals with the issue of scanning that I brought up earlier, where scanning gave you information on the enemy. In Prime 3, it actually helped in a fight, because then you knew. I think you actually had to scan them to figure out which parts of it to actually shoot and kill, or like you weren't allowed to target it, I think, if you didn't do that. Okay, we gotta go back. I could be wrong. I do plan on playing Prime 3 again, as I mentioned before I jump to Prime 4. I'm gonna be that kid who's playing Prime 3 when everybody else is playing Prime 4, but you know, there's nothing I can do about it. Money's tight right now. Maybe someone will buy it for me for Christmas. We'll see. But it's okay. I'll just have to try to avoid as many spoilers as possible, which I know will be impossible. That's the bad part about being part of the gaming space online, is that, you know, if you want to talk about video games, you're gonna have to endure spoilers here and there. And I hate spoilers. I hate them with a passion. It's like when someone spoils something for you, they take something away from you, which now you can never ever have again. It's an experience they can now never ever have. So that's why I hate spoilers. But I will probably see some spoilers for Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. It's inevitable. These guys are seriously dragging down my frame rate. Like, once I kill this guy, my frame rate's gonna go up. And it did. Up to the 40s again. Wrong place. Checking the map. I need to go in that portal, or a portal, and then get back over to here, because that's where the 3 keys were. probably going to have to lose the HD textures. Much more is going on in the game now, and it's causing frame rate drops. I apologize, everyone, but the sharpness, you know, should make up for it. Hopefully. The resolution, I mean. Notice here how, again, like, any fan of the Metroid series will know this is a boost ball track to come back here. There's no functionality in the map, I think, to actually mark anything, so you kind of just have to remember it. The map is big, but it's not so big that you're never going to, if you're wandering around trying to figure out where to go, it's not like you'll never ever come back to a place again. Oh, that's why I couldn't get in there, because I need a boost ball. That's where I was trying to go. But this is what I mean when I say, you know, it's built into the game that you'll get to know the map, and you will be able to recall, you know, with some accuracy, areas in which, hey, I think I saw something like this at some point. Maybe it was in this area. And then as you wander around the map and you pass it numerous times, you'll be able to pick it up. You'll be able to remember where it is. And you wouldn't get that if you had all these waypoints everywhere telling you everywhere you needed to go. Okay, I'm actually going to go save first because this is the portal that when you activate it, I had a lot of freezing issues. But if you design your game and you know the map is not huge enough that you know there's going to be a lot of backtracking, you have no system in place to actually to mark anything on the map. I think it's a safe bet to just, you know, let it be and trust that the player will remember, you know, hey, there was a thing right here that I could have touched or whatever. And then at that point, then that's when it's really in the player's hands. That's when the player really feels agency. Because you didn't tell them, you showed them at one point, and you showed them numerous times through the multiple backtracking and the way that you laid out all of the power-ups and the barriers that they have to overcome. But it still feels like, hey, I remembered this, I did this, and it adds to the sense of accomplishment the player feels. You know, it's not something you told them to do. The little waypoint hasn't popped up yet. And even these hints that I've been complaining about, you know, I haven't made progress in a little while, and a hint could pop up at any time, but it's still giving me ample time to figure it out on my own. You know, or could even be triggered by just an area. Like if I go to a particular area that's really far away or really far off from where I need to go, you know, that could also trigger the thanks, Dread Roberts, for following me. I appreciate it. But yeah, that could also trigger the hint system. But if you litter your map with points, not just points of interest, but if you look at your map and it's too cluttered with all the different things, like it's nice that they put the portals there. That's really, really helpful because you can't just go back and forth between the light world and the dark world, which is nice. You still are forced to traverse the map. You know, if I could just go back and forth between the light world and the dark world, it would take away from that. If there were points of entry everywhere, if I could just warp to any part of the map, yeah, it would be a nice quality of life thing, but your knowledge of the map would decrease significantly, and you wouldn't really get, one, the intended experience of the game. You would start to feel like the world itself is something you don't really know. And you would also feel like you have less agency as a player. Hey, Dread Roberts. You're the first person to ever chat in my chat. Congratulations. Thank you. I appreciate that. And you came up on my. It said you just followed in my multi chat, and then you also appeared in my X chat. So, all right, we didn't get a break here. But I do feel like the multiple waypoints that people that in a lot of bigger games, it's really tempting to put in multiple fast travel points, and even like in fast travel has been a thing for a long, long time. Don't get me wrong. Like in Fallout, you can open up your map, boom, fast travel there. Thank you for the sub on YouTube. I appreciate that. I'm trying to build that one up too. But yeah, the fast travel points in like Fallout series, you could just open up your map and go there because uh, the sandbox genre is like you're in this big wide open space, and knowing the map and where to go, you're not in a labyrinth. You are and you aren't. So that's not actually part of the intended gameplay experience. Figuring out where to go is much more on a micro scale. Like you're going to go into a dungeon, like in Oblivion. You dive into the dungeon, you figure out where to go in that dungeon, but everywhere else is like open to explore, and you don't want to navigate corridors the rest of the game. Metroid is a navigation of corridors. It's a labyrinth. And that's part of the gameplay. That's part of the intended experience. And throwing waypoints everywhere to make it easier on the player would detract from that. Which is why, okay, bringing it full circle here to the motorcycle, which is why the motorcycle, while it looked really cool and gave you Akira vibes, kind of made people start to question what's going on here, because open spaces is not something you typically associate with Metroid. And the desert area is a hub world, one that you can traverse, and it opens up a lot of possibilities. But I'm hoping that, and I think I'm right to think that it's just a part of the game. It's not any main area, and there will be a lot of dungeon crawling, for lack of a better word. It will function as a break intention, which is not a bad thing. It's a different type of break intention we traditionally get in Metroid games, for sure, but it's not a bad one if it's executed well. If I spend the majority of the game in the desert, it still could be fun, but it might. I would definitely see people complain about that, because it's not what they expect from the Metroid genre. If I want to have an experience that drives me around giant set pieces and epic grand set pieces, I'm going to play Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom or Witcher 3 or all these other games who will most likely have done it a lot better. And I say most likely because those games are built with that gameplay in mind. Everything stems around from the open world nature of the game. If Metroid Prime 4 tries to do too much or bleed into multiple genres, I think it will overall hurt the gaming experience. And I don't think that that's a controversial point. If you try to appeal to a wider audience without pleasing the core audience that you built up, you might lose both. Sometimes, as I said before, sometimes less is more. You don't want to overdo it. Okay, I'm gonna go Um, nope, hit the wrong button here. Emulation controls. Causing problems. Alright, I'm going to go unlock this. And then probably save. And then we'll call it a day. Hopefully I'm going the right way here. Alright, here we go. Nice. Alright. Another cutscene. All these cutscenes make me so nervous because the game could crash, which is good. Fine, I saved. If the game crashes, we'll call it there and I'll figure it out. And, you know, we'll be fine. Mostly it's just you gotta change the graphics driver in Prime Hack. Metroid Prime 2 definitely felt more questy. That's not the right way to say it. Than the other Prime games, because there are multiple instances where you have to go find the 3 keys. Again, which is fine because it gets you to kind of move throughout the map. But it definitely segmented the game more, I felt like, than it was with Prime. Boss battle. Nice. Apologize for the audio stuttering. Morbis. Okay, this is maybe I should not have my criticism as much when it comes to this, because while some bosses are just straight up bullet sponges, which is my criticism, a lot of the combat, scanning them is is a good idea because there are some gimmicky things that they throw in here that you got to do. So I will retract that statement about how the scan is not adequately used in combat. The bosses are a big part of Metroid Prime. They're a big part of the cinematic experience that I think they've successfully pulled off. But scanning them is definitely something you should do, because you're gonna encounter moments where you shoot them and nothing happens, and you got to figure out why. And of course, the visors, having different visors is important as well. Okay, what's going on here? All right, we're getting some severe drop in frame rates here, so I apologize. All right, I got to figure out what's going on with this. Alright, let's read this guy. Gigantic tunneling guardians. Avoid target as it enters and leaves the earth. Look for disturbances in the ground. Won't survive long if its outer shell is cracked. Okay, so shoot it. This thing is impervious to weapons. This is a dark creature. Yeah, I'm... Okay. So his health bar didn't go down, but I'm nice hit effects there to tell me what's going on and communicating to the player something is happening, even though there are no hit effects. I mean, there's no health issues. There's no health decreasing. Excuse me. Oh, nice. Classic Metroid move since Samus Returns from the Game Boy. That's how you can kill the Metroid Queen at the end. You don't have to do it that way, but you can. It's really cool that they put that in there. Alright, we're getting cracks on the ball there. Again, a nice touch to let me know that I'm doing something right. Again, it's all about balance when communicating to the player. If you communicate too much, that makes the player feel patronized and kind of stupid. If you communicate too little, nobody knows what's going on. And we've all been there in games when nobody knows what's happening. You don't know if you're damaging the boss. It's really frustrating, and it's a waste of time. Where is it? It's hopping around over here. There we go. That's really cool. Alright. We got two of them again. Blow them up from the inside. Oh no. Okay. So we scan it again. Targets gain armor, beam weapons, or regenerative powers when fused with the dark sphere. A weak spot within the mouth detected. Concussive force will deliver heavy damage to it. See that? Okay, yeah. I retract my statement on on the use of scanning when it comes to bosses and enemies. Maybe it still applies to smaller enemies, but with the bosses, I approve now. Scanning definitely helps give you that extra bit of information that you need, and you have to remember to do it. You can figure it out on your own, I suppose, but well done, Retro Studios. I approve in my humble gaming opinion there. Guess I can't clip that one. Alright, I need to suck up all these things. There's 3 of these guys. Okay, I apologize for the choppy audio, guys. And the dropped frame rates. I am going to remove all the HD textures. It was cool while it lasted, but I want to give you guys the best experience possible. And as much as I love slow motion, not here. I'd rather give you guys a smooth experience. Alright, come on. Where are you guys? And hopefully, I just realized, hopefully my audio is not choppy. I mean, my mic is synced up properly. That would suck a lot, because I feel like most of the time the stream has been going well. Right, come on, where are you? It's coming out here. Good. Oh. So the ammo for this game was kind of a nice touch, in the sense it's kind of restricting, and it adds a bit more thought to what you have to do. It is a bit annoying when you don't get enough drops, especially when you absolutely need it. And Retro Studios tried to get around it by letting you charge the beam. And so even though if you have no ammo, you can still fire the weapon because you need to get through doors. And if you needed ammo and you're in a room where you didn't have any ammo left, you would you wouldn't be able to get there. So they kind of went around with that. I will say right now it is kind of annoying what's going on here because I just can't do enough damage quickly. You know, but I will say again, it's all about balance here. If they give me too many ammo drops, you know, having ammo would be pointless. To throw some more shade at Echoes of Wisdom, the big issue with the sword mechanic was that, you know, getting shakes was way too easy, like way too easy, and I could just simply get a shake, get a bunch of them, and get a bunch of shakes, enter any battle, any dungeon, anything, and just turn into Link. It was that easy. Uh, so I think if I were to try to fix that part of the game, it would be one, I would make shakes a lot harder to get, or the ones that give you energy. I would make those harder to get because, you know, it would just make you just turning on the sword mechanic that much more costly. It would cost you something, and then I would increase the amount of decrease the amount of time that you're able to do it. You know, make it a bit more difficult. Make the player have to think a bit more before they actually use something that's so overpowered as the sword mechanic. Okay, here I think they could have, in a boss battle like this, they might have been able to turn up the ammo drop a little bit, because I haven't gotten any ammo drops. But I think for the most part, Metroid Prime does the ammo drops pretty well. You had to think a bit before you do everything, so. Alright, he's down. You get a nice break from the labyrinth action. I know I'm going to get some sort of power up right here. Hopefully my game won't freeze when I pick it up. Oh, look at that. Metroid in all its glory. Let's see what it is. I forget what it is. It's been so long since I played this game. Oh, yes. Awesome. Seriously, I mean, Prime 4 definitely has some really cool armor designs, and there's really no bad armor design in the Metroid game. But the dark suit and the light suit are just awesome. They are so cool. Creature package unlocked for purchase. Oh, that's right. They added more thing. Not actual purchase, because this game was made this game was made before microtransactions were a big thing in gaming. Right, hang on a second. I want to see if we can get a look at this armor. Yeah, let's look at the armor. The dark suit. can I zoom? I can't really zoom in, but look at that. I can zoom in. I just can't figure it out. That's so cool. While the dark suit can resist the caustic effects of the dark aether's environment, dark energy attacks will still cause damage. See, all those people complaining about, the dark. Look at that. Now I don't lose health when I'm in the dark world. Or I do, very, very slowly. It's not until I get the light suit. But now I can go deeper into the dark world. Alright, let's save it, and then we'll call it a day. I gotta make some clips. Oh, I haven't been that way yet. Aha! It's a good thing I went this way. Awesome. Alright, gotta get the dark energy and bring it back to the Umoth in the temple. Look at that. Oh man, that suit is so cool. I will say, with Dread and with the new Prime 4 Beyond suit and the Phazon suit in Prime 3, whoever's designing these Metroid suits, I feel like needs a raise. They're always so well designed. I might. So I'm going to return to the energy of the temple. Okay, good. Yeah, I'm probably gonna get rid of the textures for the rest of the playthrough, but I might turn them on again at the end, because I I remember very distinctly that while the design of the suits was really top notch, whoever approved the design of Samus's face model, man, I don't know what they were thinking with that. There's some real uncanny valley stuff going on there. It just did not look good. The one in Metroid Prime, the first one for the GameCube, was actually really good. I don't know why they changed it for the remastered. The one in the remastered, I don't know. That's another one where the uncanny valley just kind of sticks out, even though it's, we're using updated technology. I mean, it just goes to show you that designing a face model is not easy. Okay, let's save, and then we'll call it a day. Got some enemies coming up here trying to sneak up on me, and I have no ammo. See, this is what I'm talking about here. Well, if I kill one of these things, maybe they'll get me some ammo. Alright, I'm gonna actually just run by this now. Oh, what is that? Inside of my screen. They're trying to possess me? Alright, let's see where the closest save point is. There it is. Alright. Cool. And all right, we'll end it there. Thanks to Dread Roberts for the first chat, and for the sub on YouTube, and Andy Analog for reposting my my stream so people can see it. Later this week, I'm going to be on Nerdy Neo's YouTube channel on a party chat discussing different various topics and things like that. So definitely tune into that and give him a follow and subscribe. And I believe the next day after that, the day before Prime 4 comes out, I'm going to be on a live stream with Liveporial. We'll be talking about Metroid and Zelda, are two of my favorite topics, and I know two of his favorite topics as well. So definitely tune in for that. Yeah, thank you guys. Thanks for sticking around and watching. I'll see you tomorrow.